Well, now it's time to frame our garage walls. So in this video, we're going to frame the walls on the garage. Now we have all of our exteriors and interiors in the house done, except for the wall that divides the kitchen from the living room, and we'll do that after we get the trusses on. Let's take a look at the plans, and we'll notice that our garage, if we look at the elevation, our garage roof is the same height as the rest of the house. And so we just simply have to make studs that are a little bit longer because we don't have any floor joists, right? We're going to be framing from down here rather than up on top of the floor. So the first thing we do is we put our sole plates for our walls in. Now this is going to be pressure treated material, just like our mud sill was over here in the house, but it sits right on the concrete and it's the sole plate or the bottom plate of the wall. So we're going to do it the same way we did in the house, in that we're going to hold it back a ½ inch from each side of the concrete foundation so that when our plywood goes on, it's flush with the outside edge of the concrete. Last time we did it using guidelines. This time I'm going to do it a little differently. I'm going to select this piece of plate material and I'm going to move it, and I'm going to select the bottom corner and snap it to the corner of the concrete. So now I know that it's exactly on the corner of the concrete. And then I'll move it. I'll use the move command and I'll move it to the left 0.5, and then I'll go to this side and I'll move it along the green axis and I'll move it 0.5, and now it's a ½ inch away from each side, and so I've got it placed exactly where it needs to go. Now I can put this next one up. A couple ways to do that. If I put this end flush with this piece, then it'll extend under the house and I'll have to probably turn off the floor joist and the rim board and the mud sill in order to shorten it. So I'm going to do a little differently. I'm going to select this edge to move it. I'm going to find the bottom corner and I'm going to put it up flush with the corner here. Okay, let me a little closer here where I want to be. I want to find that corner. I'm going to put it right there. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it, and I'm going to move it along the red axis, 0.5, and that'll put it right up next to the house. And then I'll move it along the green axis, 0.5, and that gets it a ½ inch away from the outside edge. Now these should line up just perfectly, and they do. So all I have to do is shorten it, and it will be the right size. So I double click on that, use my push-pull tool, push it back to the inside edge, and I have my plates ready at that point. I can just double check them, move in, zoom in, make sure they look really good, and they do look really good. So now I can put this other piece on the sidewall, select it, move it, select the top corner, and snap it to the top corner of the other plate, just like that. All that needs to be done now is to shorten it to the right length, which I do using my push-pull tool. Double click on the group, push it back to the outside edge of the concrete. And then what I want to do, because I want it a ½ inch in, I'll just push it again and say 0.5, and it'll be a ½ inch in from the outside edge. Okay. Now on the next piece, which is way down here, I can select this one, and I'm going to go in and select the bottom. I'm going to move it and select the bottom corner, and I'm going to place that bottom corner right next to the existing plate, just like that. Snap to that, and now it's in place. All I have to do is shorten it. Once again, double click on the group, push-pull tool, push it back to the inside edge of the board. Let me see if I can get a better shot at it here. There we go. And we're ready to go. Our plates are in place. It's time to put a stud in. So I'm going to select this stud, and I'm going to move it, and I'm going to select the bottom right corner because I know I can snap that to the existing. I have a point there where I can just snap it to there, just like that. And now that I have the stud in place, I need to put studs on the other walls. But first thing I want to do is to make it as tall as it needs to be. It's a little short right now, right? It needs to be as tall as the rest of the studs in the house, or the same elevation at the top. So I'm just simply going to double click on it, zoom in just a little, use my push-pull tool, grab the end and bring it all the way up to there, the bottom edge of the top plate. That's how tall this stud is supposed to be. So now I'm going to select that stud and copy it, and then I'm going to paste it, and I'm going to swing around here and paste that stud on the other side. There. Now I've got one on each wall where it needs to be, and then I'm going to put one on this side wall because I'm going to need studs out here as well. So I will right click and paste that same stud there. Now that stud needs to be rotated. So I look at the top of the stud and find the little red plus sign at the top of the stud. Rotate that stud around so that it's on the red axis. And come on, red axis. There we go. Then I can set it in place where it needs to be by moving it and selecting that bottom left corner, snap it to that corner, and I'm ready to go. I'm going to frame my stud, my sidewall first, and I do that by clicking on the guideline tool, and I'll move a guideline over along the green axis, 16 inches, and then select the stud that I want to move and find the midpoint of it, match it up with that guideline that I just put in, and I'm ready to do an array at this point. I can hit move, control to get the copy feature going. I can go to the right, 16, enter, and then I can say times, I don't know, 16. I don't know exactly how many I need, but let's see if I have enough. Looks like I had one too many. Actually, it looks like I had just enough because I can take this one and move it, select the bottom right corner, snap to my plate, and there I have all of my studs in place. Now I can put the cap plate on, or the top plate on, I mean. On the bottom, I had a long plate here and then a short one over here, so I'm going to do the opposite on the top. I'm going to copy that long bottom plate, put it up here on top on the right-hand side, select that corner, snap to this corner, and now I have the long one on the right, so it'll make a stronger wall. There won't be a hinge point on the wall. And all I have to do is shorten the piece so it comes back to the center of this stud. We can have pieces that are longer than or shorter than 16 feet, but not longer. And this one was 16 even, so I got to come back to the midpoint like that. And then I'll just snap another piece. I've already got it in the clipboard. I'll just bring it up and snap this piece. I'll find this end over here and click the top corner, snap it to the last plate that I just put in on the top. Whoa, zoom in a little too far. Bring it into the top corner, snap it there. Then all I have to do is shorten it a little bit and we'll be ready to roll. So I'll double click on it, push pull tool, shorten that thing back to the edge of the stud, and now we have that wall completely framed in. Now there's a window in that wall, but we'll install that later. Right now all we're doing is getting our framing where it's supposed to be. And so let's do the front wall now. I'm going to do this stud the same way I did the last one. What I mean by that is I'm going to do a guideline. I'm going to move it over from the outside edge so I get my first stud spacing correct. And I'm going to move it along the red axis. I'm going to find the red axis here. And I'm going to move it 16 inches. And then I'm going to copy this stud and then paste it so that I can find the midpoint on the stud and line it up with that new guideline I just put in. And then I can hit my control key. So I'm copying this stud. I'm going to go along the red axis. I'm going to go 16 inches. And then I'm going to say times, I believe 8 is the right number to get the right number of studs in. And that looks good. I need to move this last stud though, because it's kind of over here. So I move it, select the bottom right corner, snap to this intersection, and that looks great. I've got my framing done, except I need a plate on the top. So I'm going to copy my plate and I'm going to my bottom plate, and I'm going to bring it up to the top because it's already the correct size. I won't have to trim anything down or cut a piece shorter. It fits right in place, and now I've got 2 walls done. So I'm going to move around to the back side and do the exact same thing here, except rather than start with this stud, I want to keep the same spacing I had on the house because I started my stud spacing from the right side of the house at 16 inches on center. I just want to continue it. And so I'm going to take the last stud that was on spacing, which is this one here. I'm going to do a guideline from the right side of that stud along the red axis. And I'm going to go 32 inches. Okay, that will take me to where I want the center of my next stud. I'll select this stud, copy it, paste it, put it right down there, find the midpoint on it, set it in place, and now I can do an array with this one, and I can go along the red axis, 1, 6, enter, times 8, and I should have the right number of studs, and they're continue the 16-inch on center spacing that I had on the house. I can just select this stud, move that bottom left corner over here, snap it to that intersection, select my plate, copy it, paste it, and bring that plate up here on top where I can set it in place. And now I have my garage walls framed. At this point, we can now work on the doors and windows for the garage.